Life on Earth goes through a cycle of evolution and extinction. That's just how the world works. However, some people just find it hard to believe that certain animals are gone forever. And honestly, they might be right. Hundreds of animals that have long thought to be extinct suddenly got rediscovered. So it's quite possible that any of the animals on this list, all of them with reported sightings by the way, just might be still out there. The animal on number 1 is one that we all believe to exist, but none of us really want it to be alive. Stay tuned to find out what that is. Here are 10 prehistoric animals that could still exist. Number 10. The moa. These giant wingless birds were first seen when people first arrived at the islands of New Zealand. They were very different from the other flightless birds such as ostriches, emus, and cassowaries due to the fact that they had no wings. In fact, moas have lost the wing bones completely. They were extremely large birds with the biggest reaching up to 12 feet in height, easily the largest birds on the island. Unfortunately, due to what many believe is overhunting by the early Maori people, these large majestic birds went extinct between the late 1300s and early 1500s. Or did they? In the 1940s, Australian painter and bird enthusiast John Gould reported to have seen what he described as giant kiwis in New Zealand's South Island. He described them as around a meter tall and had spurred feet. The spurred feet exactly matched footprints previously found on the North Island. However, a Japanese research team investigated the South Island in 1978 to see if there is a possibility that the moa somehow survived extinction and is currently living there. They didn't find any evidence to suggest that they do, though. This has led to many people believing that moa sightings have been greatly exaggerated. However, it's also worth knowing that although the researchers didn't find evidence of a live moa in the South Island, that doesn't rule out the possibility of some populations of moas still living in other remote parts of New Zealand. Number 9. The short-faced bear. Also sometimes referred to as the bulldog bear, the short-faced bear was a genus of prehistoric bear that roamed most of North America from the mid-Pleistocene until around 11,000 years ago. Many scientists believe that this creature might just be the largest known terrestrial mammalian carnivore that has ever been discovered. A lot more are pretty sure that these guys are already extinct. However, some cryptozoologists think that the species survived extinction and is still hiding somewhere in North America, and possibly even Russia. They think of this because of Bigfoot, and no, I'm not kidding. They attribute most of the Bigfoot sightings, especially in the eastern United States, to actually be sightings of the short-faced bear. This is due to the fact that short-faced bears actually have limb proportions similar to that of a gorilla, proportions that are also attributed to Bigfoot, of course. There have also been alleged sightings in Canada, particularly northern British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. Residents of the area often tell stories of large, bear-like creatures that are strong enough to take on and carry a full-grown moose. Number 8. The Megatherium. Sloths are the least intimidating of creatures. If you're somehow terrified of one, don't worry. You can always outrun it. While they do come armed with huge claws that look like they can disembowel ya with no effort at all, they just use them to cling to branches. However, these are modern-day sloths. Back in the day, they had much more active ancestors, and they had a bad attitude. During the Ice Age, one of the creatures you wouldn't want to cross paths with is the Megatherium. These giant ground sloths measured up to 20 feet long, bigger than an elephant. They are thought to have died out around 8500 BC. However, scientists have started to believe that a small population of these terrifying creatures could have managed to survive in extremely remote areas, kind of like the Amazon rainforest. Some say that they endured for 5,000 more years but eventually went extinct. Others say that they still exist to this very day. Old Amazonian legends tell of the Mapinguari, a 9-foot-tall animal armed with massive claws, backwards-facing feet, and an extra mouth on its belly. They also say you'll be more likely to smell it first before you see it, as it's reported to give off a terrible stench. This creature has been blamed for a series of unexplained attacks on cattle in the area. Extra mouth and backwards-facing feet aside, some cryptozoologists believe that the Mapinguari is a surviving Megatherium. Number 7. The Smilodon. The forests of Colombia, Ecuador, and Venezuela have long been rumored to be home of a very peculiar big cat. It has been described as around the same size of a jaguar. However, unlike a jaguar, it has long fangs akin to that of the Smilodon, a saber-toothed cat which lived during the Pleistocene epoch. Locals call this creature the Tigro dentero, or taper-eating tiger. Sightings of this animal continue to this very day. It is thought that one of these creatures was actually captured and killed back in 1975. The carcass was examined by zoologist Juan Agavar, who reportedly identified it to be a Smilodon. For some unknown reason, Paraguayan authorities released a statement that the creature was just a mutated jaguar with a deformed jaw. Unfortunately, today's scientists have lost a chance to further look into the matter as the carcass was incinerated. Other sightings of this animal have been reported since then. The latest one in 1991 when a hunter named Turson Sosa claimed that in the dry season, while hunting about 3 days upriver on the left bank of the Caro River, he saw a long-fanged, short-tailed, unpatterned cat the size of a jaguar emerge from a thicket to drink from a pool of water. It appeared stealthily and vanished cautiously. Number 6. The Woolly Mammoth. No other Ice Age creature is more recognizable as the woolly mammoth. They roamed the frozen wilderness of North America and Europe during the Pleistocene epoch until about 1700 BC. They are easily recognizable due to their shaggy coats and great curving tusks that they use for sweeping snow off the ground to get the grasses and mosses on the ground that they eat, and possibly for fighting. They are generally considered to be extinct and are excellent candidates for de-extinction. We actually made a video about that, so go check it out. However, to this very day, there have been reported sightings of this massive creature, especially in the remote areas of the tundra in the northern hemisphere. Siberian tribesmen have reported a large shaggy beast to local authorities, though there has been no scientific proof. The mammoth has been sighted in Asia, South America, North America, Russia, and other places as well. Number 5. The Plesiosaur. I'm pretty sure you expected this prehistoric animal to pop up in this list sooner or later. People seem to associate these creatures with sightings of lake monsters, primarily the monster of the Loch Ness. They are marine reptiles that lived during the time of the dinosaurs. They came in different shapes and sizes, kind of like animal crackers that swim and bite. The body type that we're most familiar with are the ones with long necks, big bodies, and 4 paddle-like flippers. Sound familiar? Yes, exactly like Nessie. It's widely accepted that plesiosaurs went extinct along with the dinosaurs around 65 million years ago. But that hasn't stopped a few people from believing that they somehow managed to survive all this time. There is a prevailing theory among cryptozoologists that all of these lake monster sightings, like in Loch Ness and Cham from Lake Champlain, are actually a surviving population of plesiosaurs that forsook living in the ocean and opted to move into lakes. Given that Loch Ness is connected to the ocean, there could be credence to this theory. Number 4. The Gigantopithecus Blocky. Thousands of years ago in Asia, there lived a massive ape called Gigantopithecus Blocky. Let's just call him Blackie from now on. It stood 10 feet tall and weighed 1,000 pounds or more. Researchers think it was something like a large orangutan and would have lived on bamboo and other vegetation. Sounds pretty familiar, huh? Although they did exist in the same time period, it's highly unlikely that they encountered our ancient ancestors. By the time modern man came to Asia, it's thought that Blackie may have since left the area, eventually becoming extinct. But of course, did they? Many think that Blackie did not go extinct, but continued to evolve and sire descendants that live on to this very day. Descendants that are so elusive, many think they don't actually exist. I'm talking about none other than Bigfoot. If Giganto began to evolve while still in Asia, it may have become more human-like. They also could have crossed the Bering Land Bridge to cross to America, the same land bridge our ancestors crossed thousands of years ago. Did ancestors of Gigantopithecus come across too, and do they live on in the forests of North America as the fabled Sasquatch? I don't know. Number 3. The Megalania. The Megalania, also called the giant ripper lizard, is a large lizard-like creature that closely resembles the Komodo dragon, only larger. Although they primarily inhabited Australia, this creature has been sighted many times in the last century, but in New Guinea. As recently as the late 70s, there have been Megalania sightings. In July 1979, Rex Gilroy was informed of footprints of the creature found in a recently plowed field. Across the field were 30 or so tracks from what looked like an enormous lizard. Rain had ruined most of the tracks, but Gilroy was able to make a plaster cast of one that had been preserved. The footprint looked surprisingly like something that might have been made by a Megalania. Another incident includes a farmer who observed a gigantic lizard walking alone on one of his fields. It walked along a wire fence, so the farmer used a set of fence posts as a guide, and he estimated the beast to be between 20 to 25 feet long, which incidentally corresponds to Megalania's actual size. Now it's time for today's best pick. Does today's best pick look familiar to you? It should be, because aside from the T-Rex, this is the prototypical image that comes to mind when somebody says dinosaur. What kind of animal is it, and more importantly, is this photo real? Find out more next with number 2. Sauropods. In the jungles of Western Africa, there are persistent reports of sightings of an elephant-sized creature with smooth brownish-gray skin, a long, flexible neck, a very long tail as powerful as a croc's, and 3 clawed feet the size of frying pans. If the description sounds familiar to you, it's because what you just heard is the textbook description of a sauropod. Large plant-eating dinosaurs with tiny heads and long neck and tails. It's universally accepted that these massive creatures died out around 70 million years ago. That is, until these sightings are proven. Sightings of this animal is prevalent in the Congo, where the legend actually started. Locals call the creature Mokele Mbebe. Given the fact that 80% of the Lukula region in northeast Congo still remain uncharted, there is a large possibility that a few of these animals still survive. On the photo, unfortunately, no matter how much I want it to be, it's definitely not real. This photo's been making the rounds on the internet for a few years now, with the original photo, which is also fake, featuring a woolly mammoth. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. The Megalodon. If there's one prehistoric creature that has recently captured our collective imaginations, it's definitely the Meg. It was the biggest shark ever to swim the oceans of the world, reaching lengths of 60 feet or more. It preyed on whales and other large marine animals and would have been the apex predator of the ocean in its day. There are thousands of rumors that say the Megalodon has somehow escaped extinction and survived. Every now and then there's a report of a monster shark bigger than anything ever recorded. We know a typical great white shark is around 16 feet in length, with the record being around 21 feet. However, depending on the report, some of these sightings still have sharks measuring 40 feet, sometimes even more. These tales have been told as long as men have gone to sea. In recent times, anglers have reported possible megalodon encounters in the Sea of Cortez and other areas where the ocean is deep and hard to explore. You think that any of these creatures still exist? Let us know down below in the comments. Also feel free to check out the channel's other amazing videos. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.